Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and this, for the first time in 2020, is our weekly TV news. We are back, baby, and we have things to talk about.
Annoyingly, a fair amount. We thought, oh, maybe we'll get an extra week off without the news, and then, nah, stuff happened.
No, that was stupid, because the TCAs are on.
Yeah. Don't know why we didn't think of that.
You keep saying we. I never necessarily assumed there wasn't going to be enough news this week.
Yeah, well, you thought enough to change the schedule.
I didn't change the schedule, you changed the schedule.
I did no such thing.
You took the news off the schedule.
I did not.
You definitely did. Anyway, this is a TV news show. We talk about pilots and series renewals and cancellations and castings and trailers and whatever else happens in the TV world. Worth mentioning as well, this is the first one on the new combined the new combined. It used to be the Netflix reviews audio feed, but it's now just almost cancelled everything. The almost cancelled feed, which has all the show reviews and the TV news. Obviously, everything was on YouTube anyway, but just a change we've made at the start of 2020 may not mean much to you, but this is what it is now. So here we are. So without further ado, let us get into the news. First up, CW decided to renew almost everything, but it looks of it.
I think it was like 13 shows, something like that.
Maybe not the mid-season stuff, but yeah, 13 shows have been renewed.
Some of the mid-season stuff has.
So, they have ordered more seasons of the following. Season 2 of Batwoman, Season 2 of Nancy Drew, All-American Season 3, Black Lightning Season 4, Charmed Season 3, DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 6, oh yeah baby, Dynasty Season 4, The Flash Season 7, In the Dark Season 3, Legacy Season 3, Riverdale Season 5, Roswell, New Mexico Season 3, and Supergirl Season 6. Man, the one that surprises me in terms of numbers is actually Riverdale, because we left that, after season 1. So the fact that it's hitting season 5 is like, whoa, that's the season 5 already? What happened?
Yeah.
Where have those years went? So, it's what it is. So we actually just made the choice, after we review Crisis on Infinite Earths, we're not going to be continuing with the DC shows from the CW. So it's actually kind of weirdly freeing to look at this list and go, I don't have to watch any of these.
The only one I will be watching is Legends, because Legends is fantastic. That is the only show out of that 13 show list I plan on watching.
But there you go. That is a full slate of renewals. And honestly, Legends, I thought there was a chance they might not renew it. I thought season 5 could be the last one.
It could be. I thought maybe at least it'd wait until after the season, see how it was doing, with everything else in May.
But no, I guess this 16 episode season, they keep bringing it back for us. They're happy with it.
And the cast celebrated by sharing a picture of them all hugging Bebos.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? That's the only way they could celebrate it. Anything else would be a disappointment and a failure, and they should go and,
do better.
Quit their jobs. And
well, don't quit, because we want more.
No, quit. Don't hug Bebo for celebration, and you've failed as actors, as people, as human beings, as specimens of life on this earth.
Why don't we have Bebos yet?
Can you buy Bebos? Are Bebos
Probably
available?
They've got to be.
I bet that's why these things are where it's $20 plush for a Bebo, but the shipping's like $35. Just you watch.
I bet it is.
It'll be one of those things. Merchandise always ends up screwing you over like that. Anyway, next up. Some premiere dates from FX. We'll be talking about a couple of these a bit more detail in a minute. We'll talk about some trailers, but we have some premiere dates for a bunch of FX things. So we got season 4 of Fargo. Where's the actual dates? Okay, they're down. No, I assumed it'd all be in this opening paragraph. God damn it, deadline.
Did they give you just a list of the shows?
Yes.
And then the dates all later?
Yes.
Oh, those pricks.
Right. Anyway, so Breeders, 10-episode new comedy starring Martin Freeman, is premiering March 2nd. That's a Monday. And the way this is working, all these shows now, because they've got this FX on Hulu thing they're doing. So it's FX on March 2nd, and then the next day on Hulu.
Okay.
This will be a double premiere, then one per week, right? So this is how they're doing the FX on Hulu stuff. Which I think all of this is under that banner now. There's just blanket across the board, because obviously Disney own Hulu and FX now, so that's why. So then we have Dave, a 10-episode comedy series, which is starting Wednesday, March 4th. That's on FXX. Then another one we really care about is Devs. This is an 8-episode limited series from Alex Garland. We're talking about this. This has been in the news for like 2.5 years at this point.
It's been so long, and I kind of forgot it was coming until this week. I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's a thing.
So it's starting with again a double episode for its premiere on March 5th. That's the Thursday. So there you go. So pencil that in. So basically, we have a lot of updating the schedule to do after this news article.
Yep.
Better Things is the 4th season, 10 episode. That's coming on Thursday, March 5th. Cake's a 10-episode 2nd season, half-hour weekly showcase. I don't even know what this is, but it's March 5th on FSX, also the Thursday. Again, Most Dangerous Animal of All. I don't even think that's scripted, but whatever. It's coming March 6th. It's all in one article, so I'm just giving you all.
It all seems to be early March.
Well, we're in April now. So Mrs. America, 9-episode limited series starring Cate Blanchett. So there you go.
Okay. I don't remember hearing about this, but I mean, we must have spoke about it at some point.
Yeah, so the first 3 episodes are going to air together on Wednesday, April 15th on FX on Hulu with new episodes. So this is only on Hulu, interestingly.
So this is the actual Hulu model.
Yeah, but it's an FX show. So there's FX shows that are just going to Hulu now.
Oh god, this is getting complicated.
So then we have What We Do in the Shadows Season 2, and as someone who actually just watched all of Season 1 over Christmas, I am delighted by this news because it was fantastic.
I really need to watch it, don't I?
Yes, Matt Berry's in it. You have to watch it. So 10 episode 2nd season will begin on April 15th. That's also a Wednesday, and this is the next day on Hulu. And then Fargo Season 4, this time starring Chris Rock and a bunch of others, will premiere on Sunday, April 19th. So they're doing this in the sort of Sunday prestige slot against the other big cable things. So that's later April. And then the one thing we have for May is one of your likables. That's Archer. This is the 8-episode 11th season. Will premiere on Wednesday, May 6th on FXX, and then next day on Hulu. So all of these were next day on Hulu, with the exception of Mrs. America, I believe, was the one that was not on.
Was a more traditional Hulu.
Yes, but it's still an FX branded thing because they made it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder how long it is before they just scrap the channel and just FX on Hulu. It's just FX there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how long the channel keeps bringing them in money. As long as it's making a profit, they'll keep doing it.
Yeah, I wonder, like, obviously next day is not that bad, but I wonder if it'll go day and day. And I guess maybe the appeal here is kind of like, well, for people who want to cut the cord, you can also get our content just by paying us through Hulu.
Obviously, I didn't even know this FX on Hulu was a thing until we've just been talking about it now. Is it just included with Hulu, or is it an add-on that you have to buy on Hulu, like Amazon's channels?
No, it's just included. It's just part of Hulu.
Okay, right. Okay, if it's just included, then yeah, okay, I get what the appeal is.
Yeah. So some big stuff in there. Obviously, I'm really excited about What We Do in the Shadows Season 2, but we're going to talk about a couple of these shows in a second because we got trailers for them. So we'll move on to talking about some of these trailers after a quick premiere date, though. Actually,
okay. And I've got a premiere date as well.
Ozark Season 3 is coming March 27th on Netflix. I know people like that show, even though we dropped out after one episode, but people do like it.
It got so acclaimed, and we kind of never really got it, but hey, people like it.
To be fair, maybe it got much better after that first episode, but we didn't like the first one that much. So
yeah, it's possible.
What you got?
Mine, that I know you wouldn't have mentioned, which is why I made sure I got it, is Season 7 of Clone Wars. Is dropping on Disney Plus.
No one cares about this kids show.
They do. It's coming February 17th.
This silly kids cartoon that adults shouldn't be watching.
Of course they should. It's great.
I'm just intentionally trying to piss people off, that's all.
I know you are. I know. It's a good, legitimate TV show that just happens to be animated and kid-friendly, but so are lots of things.
Oh dear. I don't even want to watch any more Star Wars movies. You think there's a chance you may convince me one day to watch one of these?
I'm not trying to convince you to watch it anymore.
Anymore, I give up.
If I was going to try and convince you to watch any of them, it would have been Rebels, because that's at least got the Firefly vibe going for it. There was much more chance with that than Clone Wars ever had.
There's no chance for any of them. It's never happening.
Well, there's not anymore, no.
So first show we'll look at is Fargo Season 4. returning show. But of course, well, we don't necessarily always look at trailers for new things, because there was a trailer this week I will mention for Better Call Saul season 5, but we don't need to see a trailer for that. We're on board. It's fine.
We know exactly what we're getting with Better Call Saul, and we're there for it.
But with Fargo, of course, it's a completely different cast, completely different story each season. It's a completely new thing on its own, right? So it's worth watching the trailer for the new one. So we see Chris Rock in here. We also see Timmy Oliphant, I think I saw popping in there, as well as some other faces. So this is set in like the 40s, 50s kind of time period.
Yeah, it could have been anywhere between the 20s and 50s. I was getting.
Well, this is the thing. I was convinced it was the 30s until I saw the little girl get on a school bus that looked much more later than everything else. Because I was thinking it was definitely the 30s because of the gangster vibe and the cars that were driving.
That's what I was feeling, yeah.
But then I saw the bus that the girl was getting on for school, and I was like, oh, that looks like it's later. That doesn't look like a thing from the 30s at all. So,
season 4 of Fargo takes place in 1950.
Okay, so it's right at the borderline then.
Yeah,
I guess. Okay, fair enough. So here's the thing with Fargo: is I enjoyed season 1. I thought season 2 was excellent. It made me think the show was great. And in season 3, I had one kind of bright episode, but ultimately I thought was kind of weaker overall. And then I thought the ending in particular was quite weak. So that was really disappointing. I thought, once it was all said and done, I wasn't necessarily that disappointed week to week, but when I got to the ending and I looked back on it as a whole, I was like, I'm kind of not
a little bit unsatisfied.
Yeah. So and also added on to that is that I also wasn't that keen on season 2 of Legion and never even finished season 3, even though I promised I would. I just fell away from it halfway through and just couldn't find time for it.
I'm in a similar on that one where loved season 1 of Legion. Season 2, season 3, I didn't even bother trying to start. I just didn't bother.
And for everyone who's confused why we're even bringing Legion up, it's same showrunner, which is why we're mentioning it here. So going into Fargo season 4, it's kind of got everything to prove. I'm kind of back to like, I don't know if it's necessarily like it's a brand new show again, or if it's actively negative because I feel disappointed in his last works. But either way, it's not got any sort of cred for me going into it. It's just kind of completely back at baseline now.
I'm with you. Like, I feel like it should have prestige, or at least a reasonable expectation, because season 2 was fantastic and season 1 was pretty good, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, Duncan Jones made Moon, but his last 2 movies sucked, so I'm not excited for what he's doing next.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. I feel like I should be more excited than I am, though, on how good those things were. And like Fargo season 3 wasn't terrible. Like Legion season 2 wasn't terrible. I just didn't really like it that much.
Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, I think we'll definitely give episode 1 a try and see how we feel. But it's definitely kind of on notice for us in terms of whether or not we stick with it. It's going to have to kind of win us over, I think.
I think the trailer looks like it has potential. Like, this could be a good season. Maybe the prequel seasons are the good seasons in Fargo.
Maybe. I think the concern for me, just from watching it, is that it does, part of it does kind of feel like it's doing the Fargo shtick. And at this point, like, and season 2 had a lot more than just the shtick, but it has to kind of like convince me that in the episode itself, because the trailer's just quick cut, so a few Fargo-esque jokes here or there quickly cut together isn't enough to get me excited anymore. Like, I have to like kind of be won over by the actual plot and what it's doing. And hopefully it does. I hope it does. I want to like it. I do. I really do.
Yeah, but it's clearly tackling some big topics this season. At least that's clear its intention going in. So we'll see if it can deliver. See how it feels. Yeah,
honestly, all the actors, it's too quick cut to really get a sense of any of them. To be honest,
I agree.
The only thing I'll say is that Chris Rock, I don't think is doing the accent. In fact, a lot of them aren't, because there's a nurse character who has got the accent, and it's like pointed out by the other guy, like, "Hey, you sound funny," and she's like, "Well, I'm from Minnesota."
Yeah, which makes me assume this isn't set in Minnesota.
Yeah, I assume there's like some sort of link to it, or maybe they're all, for some reason, they all come to Minnesota, or there's some other link to it, and that's why it's a Fargo season. But whatevs. But yeah, don't know. That's the first time I've ever actually tried to do a Minnesota accent when I said that. I don't know how bad that was. Minnesota.
It wasn't great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would stop trying.
Minnesota, eh? Like I say,
worse.
Minnesota and Canada, they're just the sister accents.
They are very similar, yeah.
All right, so that's Fargo season 4. We had a trailer for season 1 of Locke and Key. We'll jump back to FX stuff in a second, but so this has also been a long time coming and has had multiple pilots in the past. One of which was one Netflix? Was there a field pilot at Netflix, or
no,
was
it was Hulu?
It was okay. So it was one. I think at FX and then Hulu, and then
I think Netflix took the one from Hulu and then completely reworked it.
Yeah, but that was the second pilot though. There was one before that.
Yeah, no, it was.
Because the one before that's the one they showed at Comic-Con like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and people seem to
FX.
Yeah, it was at FX, maybe Sci-Fi a push, but it was a cable network. The point being is that it's failed multiple times, and now it's been completely reworked for Netflix. And this is something where I said the last time this came up that I have like 5 of the 6 books in my Comixology account, and I've not read any of them. But this is from Joe Hill, Stephen King's son, comic book series, and this is obviously the adaptation of it. What's interesting from the trailer, because I'd read, the only thing I've read of this is literally issue 1. I read issue 1 to see if I liked it before I bought more trades back when they were on sale. And I liked it well enough. Oh yeah, I'll get the rest while they're cheap. But I mean, I barely remember any of it. Like it's that thing where the twist at the end of the first issue, the cliffhanger, is basically just the concept to the book. You know
what the book is. Yeah.
But this trailer is interesting to me because it's definitely, and maybe I should have expected this because the main characters are a bunch of siblings, and they're varying ages, and the youngest being like a 9-year-old kid or whatever he is. Is that it really feels like the supernatural horror version of Stranger Things, just going from this trailer. I
get that. I can see why Netflix would want it to put on at a different time of year and kind of keep that audience happy.
If anything, maybe it was meant to come out in October and they had to delay it at some point internally. We never knew about it, but like it was supposed to.
It's possible. It's possible. Maybe it was just never going to hit that, and they don't want to hold it till next October because that'll be too close to the Christmas Stranger Things.
Well, they're going to have Hill House season 2 in October anyway, so
that too. I mean, that didn't stop them with Sabrina and Hill House.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's room for 2 horror shows in October. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. So it is what it is. I thought the trailer has potential. I'm kind of have to wait and see the show itself before I know how much I like it or not. I think there's potential in a sort of kid-friendly adventure in this horror mythology. It's just a question of, do I actually like watching these characters? That's going to be the big difference from good or bad.
Yeah,
really.
I think I'm a little concerned in that I felt this trailer was too long.
Sure.
Like it's a little over 2.5 minutes, and
I mean, to be fair, I felt that with the Fargo trailer as well. That was also 2.5 minutes, and I felt it was too long.
Yeah. I think it's more just the way it cuts around in these trailers. Is that I'm like, okay, I get it now, and I'd rather see at least like 10-15 seconds of something happening rather than cutting around so much.
It's overindulgent. I think they're like, okay, we've got the whole season ready production wise, so we can show a bunch of clips from the whole thing. But I think it would actually be better just to focus on the first couple of episodes, maybe, and just sort of set the premise up rather than.
Yeah, I just think it shows off. It's not even that it's showing a lot that I'm going, I'm seeing too much. I kind of feel bored by the end of the trailer, which has me concerned for the season as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously we're definitely going to try this, and we'll see how it is. I'm optimistic. I could see it being disappointing though. I wouldn't be surprised if we come out of it going, it's okay. Like I can see that being the response, but I'm hoping that it actually does kind of live up to what the trailer's presenting it as the supernatural horror version of Stranger Things.
If it's that, then we're in for a treat.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, I'll be all over it. Because it's definitely not dark and like R-rated, or was Hill House R-rated? At least hard PG-13. This is definitely something that is more family friendly horror wise, but just based on the horror that's in the trailer, you can kind of tell it's meant to be just kind of like fun, spooky stuff, as opposed to we're actually trying to make you piss yourself.
it's your Goosebumps as opposed to your Hill House.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll be fun. That's coming February 7th for the record. So yeah,
not too long, a little under a month.
Yeah. So that'll be cool. And for the record, Sabrina season 3 is coming up this month, and there's no planned reviews for it. Mainly because I enjoy the show well enough, but it's not something that feels super needed to be talked about. Neither me or Tara felt like super impassioned about like talking about it and like adding it to a schedule. So no more reviews of Sabrina. So just I thought I'd mention that here, in case people are looking for them. So yeah, Locke and Key coming February, and then next trailer we had. Oh dear, have I moved it elsewhere? Oh no, I never had a link for it. That's why I had to go find it myself. That's why. Devs. We're talking about Devs. So Devs, the Alex Garland show, and we, it was always a very vague description, and even this trailer, I still don't entirely know really.
It kind of feels like, because it feels like an evolution of what he was doing in Ex Machina.
It does kind of. When they said that someone goes to work for like a dev company, like as soon as you see it in this trailer, it's like, no, this looks more like he's inside like an actual motherboard. Like it looks like we're in some sort of weird sci-fi building.
It's visually gorgeous.
Nick Offerman's there. He's kind of the weird guy that's in charge, who's kind of running this thing. And we have the girlfriend who's kind of investigating the disappearance of her boyfriend. And that's kind of there. And other than that, it's more of a mid-piece, the trailer, than it is anything else. There's not a whole lot detail-wise, because I think it's intentionally keeping it vague. I mean, she even asked at one point, what is devs? That's the question I have to ask, is what is devs?
Yeah.
Which almost feels like they're doing a Mr. Robot thing, because Mr. Robot during season 1 was, who is Mr. Robot? That was the thing that they kept saying in the marketing. This
feels very self-aware of what people are going to be questioning, looking at this, going, what is this show? What is devs?
At one point, there was 3 Allison Pills together on a bridge, so... and Nick Offerman was giving like a speech about how we don't really take part in life, we just kind of watch it happen. So we're definitely getting some psychological and philosophical science fiction here, if nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think after Ex Machina especially, I mean Annihilation too, but I think this feels more in line with his work in Ex Machina. I'm down for whatever this is. I will be surprised if we don't love this.
Yeah. Well, we're both fans of Ex Machina and Annihilation, so it stands to reason. So that is coming in March. So check out the trailer if you can. Final trailer to talk about here is from Apple Plus. Or Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus, yeah. Don't forget that TV.
This is Mythic Quest: Raven's Banquet, and this had a weird origin because this was revealed at Ubisoft's E3 press conference, which was a gaming show. But Ubisoft are involved in this comedy, which stars Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Has some of the same creative team. I mean, him being part of the creative team. That is.
Yeah, I think he's the technically the show creator, right?
Yeah. It's basically they're devs of an MMO video game, and he's this kind of like egotistical, boss, and that's kind of the show. It's him interacting. Danny Pudi's in there from Community, who I like a lot as well, so it was nice to see him. So here's the weird thing about this might be very good, especially based on the comedy of It's Always Sunny. The trailer didn't necessarily work for me that well because I think the way it's cut together made all the jokes not land properly for me.
I agree. I had a couple of chuckles, but while I was still chuckling, it was onto something else. I
feel like the timing of the jokes has been ruined here. I've got a funny feeling this is going to be one that basks in the silence before the lines or the awkwardness between the... Like, I don't know, something about the trailer wasn't quite clicking for me, but I don't necessarily think it's because the show is not going to be good. The show might actually still be very good, but it wasn't working for me in the trailer.
The joke that did work for me was when he's hitting these, watermelons with a shovel. It's like, they don't squish like real heads, and like the girl there just goes, "I can get you real heads, not human ones, of course." Just and there's just no hesitation, and that sort of timing worked in this trailer, I think, because there wasn't supposed to be a pause like it felt like some of the others were.
Yeah. So yeah, actually there's a release date for this, but it wasn't with the trailer.
It was February 7th. It's in the trailer. It's right at the end.
Oh, it's the same day as Locke and Key. Funnily enough. Locke and Key is definitely more the sort of thing we review, though, so this is kind of secondary when it comes to priorities.
If we have time.
Yeah. So, because we definitely won't continue this because it's just a straight up comedy, but we might give the first episode a review for the sake of, giving it a try. So that is that. Next up, sticking with some more FX stuff, because again, FX had their TCA day this week, so that's why there's a bunch of FX stuff. Basically just an announcement. I wanted to just throw this in here because it's kind of a cool detail about what we do in the Shadow Season 2. Mark Hamill's going to guest star on it, and
always a good thing.
Well, this is the thing. Season 1 had some surprising guest stars on it.
I've heard, yes.
Yeah, there's an episode, I won't spoil who it is exactly, but there's an episode where there's a council of vampires they have to go visit, and they basically get a bunch of actors who have played vampires in other TV shows and movies. And some of them are surprisingly big names. And it's like, hey, you pulled in some favours for this.
Yeah, that is Watiti pulling in some cred that he's got.
I mean, there was some trickery involved. They had to use like stand-ins on the day and film them like all in like a convenient location in like LA, because that's not where the show's shot. But they had to like do like the other sides of all the other people. So they had like stand-ins, and then they used like digital to put them in. So there's some trickery involved, but still they got the people to do like a day of a couple hours of filming to do this little cameo
costume.
So. So we'll see what Mark Hamill will end up. But yeah, they're not saying who's going to play. He was at the TCAs, but he's not telling them who they're going to play yet. So we'll see.
Hamill for Dracula.
It was if Dracula exists in this universe, and it's the sort of show that will just do that at some point for funds. So
exactly, which is why I think that is a perfectly plausible guess, although likely wrong, but plausible.
Yeah, Doug Jones was a kind of Nosferatu-looking vampire in season 1.
Okay.
He wasn't actually Nosferatu, but he was kind of looking like Nosferatu.
Style,
yeah. So that was.
Of course, they got Doug Jones for that.
I know. It's so typecast. So typecast.
That poor man.
So that's cool. So next up, another bit of casting here. Not a show we really care about, but I thought it would be worth mentioning that Mark Paul Gosselaar, the original Zack, is coming back to Saved by the Bells reboot.
Sure, I don't really have any interest, to be honest with you.
I thought I'd mention it. So we'll move swiftly on. So here's the thing. So Marvel Studios are actually in talks with ABC to make a TV show for ABC. And you're thinking, but we've had Marvel shows on ABC before. Obviously, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being the big one. The difference being here is this would actually be Kevin Feige's Marvel Studios producing it, meaning that it would be a more in continuity. Even though S.H.I.E.L.D. started off very much in continuity, this would be something that has to actually stick in continuity and stay with the continuity on ABC. Well, we know they're doing a bunch, obviously, for Disney Plus. But this would potentially be a show on ABC. Now, I would suspect that because if it actually goes through, I would go out on the limb and say that this might end up being a shorter season thing anyway, just because they'll maybe like keep it to 13 because it's easier to like keep it in line with the movies at that rate, as opposed to...
it's possible. Maybe 16 at a push.
Yeah. Interested to see what they end up doing, if they do end up doing a show. Like, what character, what property...
Yeah, it is interesting because they obviously just cleaned house in terms of all the other TV shows that were on various places. So it does feel like, okay, they can start from scratch and do kind of whatever they want.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that's been out of a movie that we haven't seen yet.
There's a car alarm going off outside, just in case anyone was wondering what I was looking at there. I was just... yeah, so I'm curious. I'm really intrigued by these shows. I'm excited to check out. WandaVision's coming later this year. I'm gonna have to bloody catch up on the movies, aren't
I?
If you want, I can see if someone else wants to sub in for you, because there's people who care more about the movies than you do.
Yeah, possibly. I'm kind of intrigued by the TV show, though.
Yeah, but you're intrigued by all of them, because if you're in for one, you kind of have to try them all.
Well, I'm intrigued by like the Loki one and the Hawkeye one for sure. This is the one I'm least excited about, but. Is
WandaVision first, or is there one coming before that? Is Falcon Winter Soldier first, or is that... I don't know.
I think that's second.
Okay. What's interesting is that they pushed WandaVision forward, because that was meant to be 2021, and it's now 2020. They revealed that like a week or two ago. But what is interesting is that they just swapped out the director for Doctor Strange 2, which is supposed to tie into this. And it was creative differences as to why Scott Derrickson left. Now, Scott Derrickson, I think, is a bad director, so I think, it's still a bad sign because it feels like they're scrambling.
And it's like 9 months till the movie.
Yeah. Well, I think it's 5 months till production starts, I believe, was the...
Oh, okay, something like
that. Yeah. And then the release date sometime, May 2021, I think, is that release date for that movie.
Okay.
So they have to start shooting in 5 months. So it's a bit of a shambles, and it may still end up being bad just because of that mess for what it is. But I do think Scott Derrickson's a bad director, so I think, yeah, trade up.
No, I agree. I think it's interesting in that he's been obviously talking about it for a while, because he's been attached for quite a while. And he's been talking about how, oh no, it's a proper horror movie. I'm doing a horror thing. And then they're going, creative differences. I suspect it's no longer as horror focused.
Maybe. They agreed to that though. Like they were okay with him saying that at all these events. So I have to think that they're okay with it being horror. Maybe he just went too extreme, or wanted it to be R-rated. Maybe, and maybe that's what they don't want. Or all this tying into WandaVision maybe is one of the things that, and what needs to set up for other movies is what he doesn't like and what they're conflicting over.
I don't like Scott Derrickson as a director. I don't like his movies. I don't have an opinion on him as a person. But I can respect that. That feeling of him going, okay, I'm making a movie, and I want to make a movie, not set up all these other things instead of telling my story. The quality of that story be damned.
Yeah,
I can respect that.
So, yeah, it's a weird thing. We'll see how these new shows shake up. I'm kind of intrigued though, because they are these 6-hour things. The Disney Plus ones, like they're very much looking like they're being made as long movies as opposed to TV shows, and I'm kind of intrigued by how that ends up feeling. It may just be they feel like long Marvel movies, which is both good and bad for different reasons.
Yeah, so you would hope they feel different, just in the sense of you want some variety, right, with all these shows.
Oh sure. I want variety of the movies. I mean that's a critique of the movies. Yeah. A lot of them feel a bit too samey, but hopefully the shows breathe some life into things. Especially if they end up with Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop.
In which case, I'm there for that show. You can't keep me away.
Yeah, but if you opt out of all the other ones first and that comes last, you've lost your placement. All right.
No. No matter what, I'm there for that one.
Sure. We'll see. So that's that news story. So next up, so what are the shows in development? So I'll take this moment actually to tell you or thank the Patreon producers for the month. So David Short, Alison M. Forday, Cindy Palacios, and Tyler Hess. Thank you to you guys for being producers for the month of January. That means they are $20 or up patrons at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can support us over there too financially if you want to keep the show coming and support all the content we make. But you don't have to do that for $20. Of course, you can do that for as little as $1 per month, and that gets you access to some bonus content, some bonus episodes of some of our movie podcasts, some outtakes that we have of like tangents we do at the $1 tier, and then there's all the stuff at the $5 tier and ups. But you can go have a look and see if you're interested and keep all the content coming. So go and have a look-see. All right then, so on to the new shows in development. There's not a lot of comedies this week, I don't think. We got one here though. Fox has put in development a single camera comedy from Gordon Ramsay. It's a Gordon Ramsay inspired chef comedy. He's not necessarily making it.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. It comes from Stephen Cragg and Brian Bradley, who are clearly a supervillain and a superhero in the making with those names. So they were creators of the 2016 Uncle Buck series, which I don't think lasted that long, bizarrely. But hey, they're getting a new gig. So written by those guys in the entitled Stephen Cragg and Brian Bradley Gordon Ramsay comedy. That's their working title. After a huge blow up with her perfectionist, demanding Gordon Ramsay-like mentor, young chef Lena decides to strike it out on her own, thinking there's got to be a better way to run a kitchen. She opens her own restaurant. But after a twist of fate throws them both back together, she finds herself stuck with her opinionated, foul-mouthed former boss, and not only in her kitchen, but in her personal life too.
The first show back, Christ.
Yeah, first show we talked about.
Let me find something appropriate. I feel like, first one back should do something a bit nice.
Also, I want to give this bonus points because it's rarely the comedies that have it. It's always the dramas. This is actually quite impressive.
It is usually the dramas. I'm trying to find something fitting.
For those of you who are new to the show, Connor always likes to take a drink of some booze, usually whiskey. If the phrase personal and professional life comes up. Also, if they talk about a character's past or secret past or something akin to that sort of phrase, you'll know it when we bring it up if it comes up.
Yeah. You're going to go with a classic, Wild Turkey 101, and I feel like that's something Gordon Ramsay would drink because, just, I don't know, feels appropriate.
My favourite Gordon Ramsay thing is, what are you?
Bread sandwich.
Idiot sandwich. No, idiot sandwich.
Yeah.
A bread sandwich.
Sorry, I've seen the bread sandwich one too many times.
You ruined the joke.
I know. I've seen it too many times now.
Because he's holding bread up on either side of this woman's head. He's like, "What are you? An idiot sandwich?"
Yeah. There was a meme that went around with it being a bread sandwich.
All right. Chef comedy, fine, whatever. Workplace comedies. How he ends up in her life again, I'm not sure, especially in her personal, because it's not like she's dating him. If she doesn't, if it's just a surprise to her. So I assume that either one of her parents or a siblings dates him, and maybe that's how he's in her life again.
Roommate, maybe.
Roommate, yeah. And if it's in the kitchen as well, then like either they're neighboring restaurants or
it's weird because she opens her own restaurant. So I thought it was going to be kind of more along the line of she realizes she's turned into him, sort of thing.
Yeah, but it says yeah. It doesn't clarify how he ends up with her professionally again. But at the very least, I can guess the personal part is that someone else is dating him that she knows, or
yeah, probably.
But there you go. So that's Untitled. There you go. So we're at the dramas already. Yeah, only one comedy. Okay. So this first one's interesting, and I want you to hold your tongue because I've not watched the movie yet. But HBO is developing a limited series based on one of the biggest movies, and not biggest financially because it's not a mainstream movie. It's a indie foreign film, but Parasite, Bong Joon-ho's film, which came out in 2019. Bong's going to work with Adam McKay to craft a TV adaptation for HBO. And this is cool. I'm intentionally not going to read the premise of this because I don't want any spoilers for the movie. So
okay, all I will say, and I won't say anything about the premise of the movie, is the way the movie is structured. I can absolutely understand how each segment can become a TV episode,
sure,
and expanded upon very naturally. And I can see how this can work into a 6 to maybe 8 episode thing at a push. But I can see that really, really easily. And the fact that he's personally involved and is signing off on this leaves me quite hopeful for this, actually.
Yes, and I know I'm watching the movie soon, which is why I'm definitely not looking at the description, because it's a soon thing. So
also, he's been doing great in some interviews. The director, like, he's been delightful.
Oh, it was catty shit at the Golden Globes speech.
Oh, I don't know I don't remember that one.
Did I hear what he said? I mean, he had a translator who had to, translate it for him. But he basically said that once you get over the inch-high barrier of subtitles, you'll find, he basically chastised people for not watching subtitle movies. It was funny.
Honestly, I think, given all the other interviews I've read from him, I think it was meant to be more tongue-in-cheek than the translator maybe gave. Because there are things like, people were asking him, hey, how are you going to feel if the Oscars snub you? Because, no Korean film has ever been nominated for Best Picture before. And it's kind of expected at this point. And he went, I don't really care. Oscars are just they're a regional, or I think was the word he used, or a national awards. Not really, not global. I'll get my awards elsewhere. I don't really care.
Yeah. So that's HBO. HBO Max, on the other hand, have put in development a Last of the Mohicans series based on the historical novel by James Fenimore Cooper. This comes from Emmy winner Kari Joji Fukunaga, so that's interesting. And also Watchmen director Nicole Cassell. That's obviously one of the TV show directors for Watchmen, not Zack Snyder, because he did the movie. And honestly, this is better than getting Zack Snyder, for the record. So this is HBO Max developing this. So under development is Paramount TV, who's actually making it. It's been in development since last April. It's written by Fukunaga and Osborne. That's I didn't tell you who Osborne was. Nick Osborne is the other writer. And directed by Cassell. So Fukunaga is also a great director, but they've got a director from Watchmen, which was also very well directed. So I have no,
I've
problems
not
with this.
seen Watchmen, and my gut reaction was, he's not directing, because we know how good a director he is, but I've not heard a single bad thing about Watchmen's direction, and only heard praise. So ultimately, I can't be mad at this.
Yeah, he directed one of the more overrated TV shows of the last decade.
Yeah, but the direction was fantastic.
The direction was great, but I'm saying that because there was at least a couple of comments, I think, in our top 25 of the decade about saying they put True Detective high, or deserves a place, and while season 1 was an enjoyable season of TV, it wasn't perfect, and I do think it's overrated. And season 2 was trash, and season 3 was, the episode 1 was okay, but it didn't make me want to keep watching it. So
I considered for a brief moment, like, is it even worthy?
Nah, I never even once.
No. I was like, if I'm thinking just season 1, does it sneak on? And probably not anyway. But ultimately, I was like, yeah, but the other seasons really just drag it down, and you can't just ignore those.
Okay. So Last of the Mohicans series will be a retelling of Cooper's French and Indian war novel that recenters the classic tale on the unlikely romance between Uncas, a young Mohican, and Cora, the mixed-race daughter of a British colonel. I've actually seen the movie of this from 1992, Michael Mann movie, which is why I watched it, because I like Michael Mann. And I remember it being solid enough. I remember the music being really good.
Music's fantastic, yeah.
If nothing else. The actual plot isn't necessarily something that excites me. It was fine in the movie because the movie was really well made. And, it looked beautiful. It sounded great. So this needs to have, something good. It has to have either really good writing or it has to have those other qualities.
But given who's involved, I think it's reasonable to assume it might have those qualities.
It might, yeah. It might actually have those things. So there you go. So that's HBO Max is working on that. And I think the movie is Warner Brothers now I think about it, so maybe it makes sense that they're the ones doing this, even though it's Paramount TV that's actually making it. But I mean, so maybe it doesn't
the
matter.
book's old enough that it's presumably well out of copyright, so anyone could make it.
Oh yeah, good point. I haven't thought of that. You're right. It probably is copyright free. Yeah. No, because it's much older than Dracula, and Dracula's public domain.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is because that came up in one of my streams where I joked, said I was going to read a book live on stream because for whatever reason, and then I said, "Oh no, wait, I can't because reading a whole book out is probably like a copyright breach." And then someone said, "Yeah, we'll read something like Dracula," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, good point. That's copyright free."
Yeah, you can do Dracula, Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, but presumably, if you try to read, say, Harry Potter on a stream, that would be, or do your own audiobook, that would be a copyright breach because
I know you can do your own audiobook for personal use.
Oh sure,
I think it's if you sell it that it's a problem. I think you can distribute it to others though.
Okay, all right. Because ultimately, what is the copyright on a book if not just the material itself? So if you're saying the whole thing, you're essentially copying it, just not in the same format.
Just verbally,
yeah. So I would argue that does kind of break copyright if you're doing the whole thing. But, whatever. Anyway, next up. So Alex Garland, we'll talk about devs. He's back in the news again because he's working on another TV show for FX. FX on Hulu, perhaps more specifically. So as part of his overall deal at FX Productions, X-Mac and Annihilation filmmaker Alex Garland is looking to continue his work with the network with another TV series following his upcoming spring series, Devs. So this is a quote from him at TCAs. "The next thing I'm going to try to do is another television show with FX. I'm in the process of writing it. I've written the first episode and I'm halfway through the second episode." So he's writing the whole thing. Which, again, if that's what he did with Devs, and I think he did, that's exciting. The whole thing,
I think he did with Devs, yeah. I think that's kind of his shtick because he was a writer first before he was a director anyway. So it's kind of what he does best.
Yeah, FX haven't seen anything of it yet, so he's just in the writing process on his own. When he delivers it, if they want to make it, that's where we'll be. So if Devs does semi decent for them, and
this doesn't look too expensive.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that said, the production value on Devs looks pretty solid for FX.
Okay, well, you know what I mean, though, in terms of above and beyond whatever Devs is.
Yes, it does mention here though that the next series that he's writing will not be set in the science fiction realm. This is all we have to go on. It's about civil obedience, and it's in the here and now. That's all he said.
I want to say mildly disappointing, given how well he can do stuff in the sci-fi realm.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll probably watch anything that he puts out anyway. So do whatever you want.
Sure, yeah. Obviously, we're going to try it. And he also wrote Dread, and apparently directed a lot of it, even though he wasn't credited for it. That's worth mentioning that too, because Dread's also great.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Amy Adams' group, Bond Group, and E1 are going to produce a TV adaptation of Robert Beatty's fantasy thriller Willa of the Wood. The young adult project is the latest in development for Adams' company, Bond Group Entertainment, which the arrival in Vice Star established with her manager Stacey O'Neill. So yeah, she's got a company. Willa of the Wood is set in a dark, mysterious forest where its ancient inhabitants, known as the Faran, don't trust the destructive tree-cutting humans. What?
How much do you hate this?
I mean, that's like a fantasy version of Avatar, but the sounds of it right now. That was one big tree, I suppose. That wasn't. Yeah. But you can see the correlations. I mean, everyone's going to say yes. I know Avatar is basically just Pocahontas and Ferngully and a bunch of other things. Yes, I'm aware of this. I just said Avatar because it's funny because it's part of my character that I like James Cameron. All right. So, yes, Willa, the clan's best forager and thief, has been taught to avoid humans at all costs. As well as adventures offer her insight about mankind, she becomes a bridge between two competing worlds, but soon encounters conflict from all sides. So it sounds like it is kind of that story. It's like she's going to meet someone who's a human and kind of be this bridge, and we'll do those beats.
Yeah, yep, pretty much. And I've just been Netflix been putting out Dragon Prince, and that's kind of this exact thing, just animated. But I mean, in this, it's fantasy, so it's more direct than Avatar, and a bit more recent and TV. But I mean, it could be fine. But I'm not particularly enthused by. Oh, it's another one, right? I have to wait and see some of it.
Yeah, sure. So there you go. That is Willa of the Wood. Not for me, I don't think.
I suspect it's not.
To put it simply. Next up, Legendary Television has closed a deal to develop the Jonathan Lethem novel Gun with Occasional Music. Have you heard of this? That sounds like something you may know about.
I can't say I have.
Yeah. So this is coming from Johan Renck, coming off his Emmy-winning work on Chernobyl. So he wasn't the showrunner on it because that was Craig Mazin, but this is someone who worked on Chernobyl. He directed it because he really directed this, so presumably he directed Chernobyl, and it was very well directed. Sense. So, okay, you got my attention. He's executive producer as well, along with David Flebot, who'll serve the showrunner. So that's who the showrunner's going to be. So here we go. The series is going to be produced by Aggregate Films, Jason Bateman, Michael Costigan, and Daniel Pipsky, along with Francie Gray. So a bunch of producers in the name there as well. And they're also producing The Outsider, which is coming up. From HBO very soon. We'll be trying that
like next week, right?
That's a few days. It's this Sunday. So in fact,
by the time this goes up, we've probably already seen it.
Yeah, by the time this goes up, we may actually have that review up first. So anyway, the novel is a blend of sci-fi, noir, and satire set in the near future in a trippy world. Evolved animals are part of society. The government placates its citizens with free, mind-numbing drugs, and the police monitor people by their karma levels. This sounds pretty out there so far. The protagonist is Conrad Metcalf, a down-and-out PI on a loser of a case. His last client, a prominent doctor, just turned up dead, and in order to clear his name and stay out of the deep freeze, the PI works for free to get to the bottom of it all. Turns out, there is no bottom to this one, though, and Metcalf soon finds there's nothing simple about this murder. Matt King and Robert Atwood will oversee for Legendary Television. So, intrigued. I'm intrigued. I'll try it. The noir part worries me a little bit because sometimes I feel when they try to do noir and sci-fi, it bogs it down because the original Blade Runner, I think the plot is boring as shit. Altered Carbon ended up being dull and boring as shit. So I'm a little concerned. And it's not that I don't like noir stuff. There's definitely noir things I like. But for some reason, a lot of the examples I can think of noir and science fiction, not so much. So I hope it doesn't fall prey to that. But I mean, Gun with Occasional Music's an interesting title. I'll say that.
And something's got to break that trend eventually, right?
Sure, yeah. Eventually something has to click.
Maybe this will be it.
Hey-ho. So that's Gun with Occasional Music. That's in development. Next up, Amazon Prime, specifically Amazon Prime Spain, are going to do a reboot of popular Spanish family series El Internado, which is translated as The Boarding School. 8-episode show will shoot early this year in northern Spain, and it will be Astra Media Studios and the Meta Pro Studio co-production. The original series, which ran for 7 years until 2010, follows students at a boarding school who uncover a host of mysteries and secrets. The original cast included Blade Runner and No Time to Die star Ana de Armas. Oh, there you go. So that was something she was in before she started doing, Hollywood movies.
Proper things.
So I'll admit I didn't notice this was just a Spanish remake of a Spanish show. I might not have included it otherwise. I thought this was going to be like an Amazon remake of a Spanish show for everyone else.
Yeah. What I will say
But
though
hey.
is, I mean, I'm not familiar with Amazon making a lot of foreign shows because
Sure.
as much as Amazon Spain are producing it, I assume they'll stick it on worldwide because why wouldn't they?
Oh, sure, yeah.
And obviously we've covered a good handful of Netflix's foreign productions, and some of them have been fantastic.
I will say, it sounds like they did kind of like the description there, which isn't that in depth, but students finding mysteries sounds kind of like it could be fun. Like it sounds like it's maybe like a.
It could. It really depends on the tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it could be fun, or it could be kind of just dull and not for me. But either way, I'm glad that these foreign produced things are coming to a wider audience these days.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's nice that we have access to them. There's a couple of Netflix foreign pilots we're going to try this month if we have time, which might end up being good or might suck. It's it's impossible to tell. Next up, ABC is looking to do an anthology version of Revenge, and it's developing a Latinx reboot of the drama. So Revenge isn't even that old. That's a pretty recent show.
Did we not talk about this not that long ago? I don't remember it being an anthology, but the Latinx reboot of Revenge, I definitely remember talking about that maybe just a month or two ago.
You forget almost everything I tell you, but the one thing that doesn't click in my head, you sit and criticize me, go, didn't we talk about this already?
No, I didn't mean that in a sense as why are we talking about that? I'm just like, did we talk about that? Am I completely imagining this?
I have no idea. Otherwise, okay. I can't say no because I don't know. I don't remember, but...
No, that's fair enough.
I do tend to remember these things better than you do, though.
You do tend to, yeah, which is why I was asking. I wasn't like digging at you. I was genuinely curious.
All right, okay. So the idea is that the series would do a different revenge story each cycle. Revenge becomes a narrative like an anthology. Each cycle's interesting because I doesn't necessarily even say one season. That sounds like it could be another like 3 or 5 season show and then recycle.
Yeah, it could be. It could be a season. Could be 2 seasons. Could be 3 or 4 episodes, and then it's a new thing. Like they could really do whatever they wanted with that.
Yeah, I'm thinking at least a season though.
I suspect it's as well, but just the idea that it could be more, or less.
So next up, we got ABC has landed a pilot called The Brides. Is a hot supernatural drama spec written by Riverdale and Chilling Adventures of Sabrina developer and producer Roberto Aguirre Sacazia. The project comes from Berlanti Productions because they need more shows on air.
Yep.
So what this is, I remember kind of hearing about this before it maybe had a title and it was still kind of a vague thing and it wasn't a network yet. But this is a sexy contemporary reimagining of Dracula, specifically The Brides of Dracula. So it's a family drama with a trio of powerful female leads at its heart. With strong horror elements, The Brides is a vampire soap about empowered, immortal women and the things they do to maintain wealth, prestige, legacy, and their non-traditional family. So this sounds to me like ABC want their version of Charmed, essentially.
Pretty much.
Instead of 3 witches, you got 3 vampires. But hey, it's what it is.
I think the moment it said soapy, I
yes.
was like, okay, I'm definitely out now.
Of course, yes. But hey, I guess what we do in the shadows is on air, but that's not on the main networks. That's on cable. I guess we have to have a vampire show on there.
It's that time of the supernatural cycle.
Yeah, they're always chasing that success of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's
just vampires' turns this time. That's all. Like you say, it's Charmed but with vampires.
I just had to do the first one of the year, all right?
You could have done better than that.
First of 2020. Well, there's only 2 more stories left, and I'm not convinced either one's going to give me anything to do it with. So, next up, Marshall Herskovitz and Ed Zwick's beloved 1987 drama 30-something is coming back for a sequel series at ABC, and it's received a pilot order. This was at the TCAs. They've announced this.
Okay.
So, yeah, 30-somethings. Yeah, original ran for 4 seasons. And I'm just looking for the...
Something interesting to say about it?
Yeah. There's not really much here. Let's be honest. Like, I mean, it doesn't really matter all that much. It's a sequel series to a family drama. I remember reading this before it got the pilot order, though. It was very much about the kids from the original are now the adults. They're now the 30-somethings.
How much of there is an audience for this, in the sense of it being a sequel show?
I don't know if there is. I mean, I guess people who watched this originally would still watch it now, even though they're much older. I can't imagine this was something that kids watch, so now they're the adults who'll watch it. It's going to be for old people. This is the old demographic.
Probably,
but maybe it'll be accessible to new people too. So that's the whole.
It might well be. It's just like I say, it's marketed, and its whole selling point right now is it's a sequel series. Like, who was crying out for this?
No one.
It's usually the case, to be fair.
So our final story of the week, and CBS did get in here, just scraped in with one story. CBS,
if they give me one, they ain't having the good booze.
CBS has put in development Arranged, a romantic comedy from Mama the Plan co-producer Farhan Arshad and Jane the Virgin creator Janie Snyder-Urman. So Arranged is a romantic comedy about the messy but ultimately hopeful relationship between Sabrina and Samir, two polar opposites who get set up by their families after they have trouble finding true love on their own. There wasn't even a hint of professional in that. It was just the personal.
I'm safe.
There you go. You got a comedy from Fox.
That was actually, even by their standards, a very boring description.
Yeah, there was nothing there. That was garbage. There you go. That's TV news for the week. We're back for 2020, baby. So Here we are.
Should we talk about what's coming up for the month in general? Because obviously we usually do that. Oh, here's the next week, but New Year, all these projects coming up.
I mean, sure. You can get the schedule up. You can tell us what's coming up.
Yeah. So we mentioned we have 2 Netflix foreign shows to potentially try.
Potentially, because we've not looked up trailers for them yet. They might look like absolute garbage, and we won't. But
yeah. But they're on the radar. So we have Aries, which is on the 18th, and then Ragnarok, which is on the 1st, maybe. I'm just kind of eyeballing. Whatever those Fridays are around there. We mentioned The Outsider. That's the Stephen King adaptation. That's coming, basically now.
Basically now, yeah, on HBO. The double episode Sunday. The 12th, 13th, whatever the Sunday is.
12th, yeah.
So that's coming.
We've got Star Trek Picard starting soon.
As Connor counts boxes to figure out what date it is.
I'm not even going to. I'm just going to say it's starting soon.
All right, okay. All right.
That's what we've got penciled in for January right now, and the final episode of Television from the Multiverse. Yes,
we have one more Television from the Multiverse, which we're going to review the final 2 episodes of Crisis, and then that show is done. We replaced it with a new comic book podcast because we'd rather read more comic books than watch those comic book based shows. So that's the plan. But hey, obviously all of our usual TV reviews are still coming. We did just finish The Expanse season 4. All the reviews for that are up. We're halfway through Lost in Space. Well, 4 are up at the time of recording. I think the 5th one will be up before this news goes up though, because we actually just recorded that. So we're halfway through that on Netflix. So yeah, that's good. Over the holidays we did review episode 1 of Dracula, which we both hated, even though lots of angry people in the comments loved it and told us we were horrible people, they had no taste, and lots of other nasty insults, which really hurt our feelings. But one of our audience, Cindy, the culprit, did actually pay the tip amount on a stream, one of the live streams that I do, to make me watch episode 2. So there's also an episode 2 review up of just me, if you're curious as to my thoughts on episode 2. So yes, and there you go. So thought I'd mention the things we did over the last few weeks too. But that is us. So that has been the TV news. That's the first of 2020. So let us know what you thought of the show and all the news that we talked about in the comments. You can like and subscribe, ding the bell on YouTube for notifications. Rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and this is the same feed now where all the TV reviews will be popping up. So if you found your way here, then you'll know that. So you can, of course, rate us on Apple Podcasts. It helps people find us, so that helps us out a lot. As does, of course, supporting us financially over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and you can do that for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses, as I mentioned earlier. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?